squash player. They call it boxing with rackets, and that's quite an accurate way to think of this sport because it requires not just power and coordination, but a certain degree of relentlessness. It's unending back and forth till you literally squash your opponent. Winner of the jury's choice, the Squash Player of the Year at the inaugural Times of India Sports Awards. My name is Lisa Mamnudas, and this is Mahindra Scorpio presents TOISA, Drive to the Top. Where Dipika has been training for years now. She uses the squash courts here to practice, and I'm hoping to get her in the heat of the action on the squash court. I'm now on the court with Dipika Pallikal, and it's been such a treat to watch her smash and lunge. Dipika, great watching you play, and I'm so glad that you've joined us and are willing to speak to us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. I really think that you've been instrumental in popularizing squash in India. I mean, you're the most known face in the sport. Can you tell me a bit about how you discovered the sport, given that until recently it really wasn't getting that much attention?
It was just actually one Saturday morning. It all happened really quickly. That it was one Saturday morning, and one of my best friend, we stayed in the same apartment, and we've grown up together, and we've been best friends ever since. And she was going on a Saturday morning for a squash camp. I just joined her, and then I joined the academy, and we used to train every Saturday and Sunday, and that's how I picked it up.
So in a way, it was a happy accident.
It was. I think when I remember clearly that when I went and told my parents, I'm just going to go with my friends for a squash lesson. Everyone was just dying because no one really knew what squash was. But I didn't know what I was getting to. I didn't know it was going to be what I am today, but I just went on, and that's where it's taken me.
And I mean, looking back, it must have been such an unexpected journey, right? You've been all over the world. You've even lived in Egypt to train. Tell me a little bit about your early stages.
See, squash is not a very known sport in the country, so it was scary getting into it as a profession because we didn't really have any players who have done well on the circuit and who we could have looked up to, who have got international coaches, and we could have spoken to them. We didn't have any of them. So it was for me to have built up everything. It was for me to have done my homework, to find out where my coaches were, the best coaches were, how do I improve squash in the country. So it was all a first for me, and I think obviously my parents being in sport, I think that's what really helped, and it really helped taking important decisions like moving to Egypt when I was young.
And what a year it's been. The last, or rather 2014 was historic. I mean, there was the Commonwealth Games gold, the Asian Games bronze, both first for India. Did you imagine when you were training as a young kid and kind of representing India for the first time that you'd make it to this international level of success?
Never. I think as far as I remember, I can only remember that I was just really excited to be on the squash court every day. Everything else came secondary to me. So I think it's been a long journey for me, and I think I wouldn't have had it any other way. There are no regrets on the way, and it's been really hard because, as I said, squash is not very famous in the country, and for us to break all barriers and win medals at the Commonwealth Games or the Asian Games at the highest levels, it's been fantastic.
Sports in India is that, male sports get so much more attention than women's sports, and you've definitely been a champion for gender equality in the sporting arena, particularly with your quite vocal opinions on the fact that prize money is unequal between men and women. I personally am a huge fan of that kind of advocacy, and I'd love to hear from you where that sort of sense of activism stems from and the change that you're hoping to see as a result.
So I've always believed that when we were in school, I studied in a school where the girls and boys were together, and from the school level, the girls and the boys have always paid equal fees to learn the same thing. So when we graduate from college, why do the men get paid higher than the women? Because we've studied the same thing, we've done the same thing, we've paid everything equally. Why does it transform to the men getting more funds when they work? And be it in our field also, I feel like it's not improving in the international level. I can definitely say it's improving because there are 2 or 3 tournaments which are becoming equal prize money, and they're the biggest tournaments in the circuit. So once the biggest tournaments in the circuit start, the smaller events will do it. And I don't see that happening back in the country. And I think until that happens back in the country, the women are not going to be respected as much as the men. And I always said this, I think we train as much as the men, we travel as much as the men, we play tournaments as much as the men, and I don't see why there should be such a drastic thing in the money column. But again, it's not about money. I think we all play sport for the love of it, and if I was playing sport, squash for money, I think I'm in the wrong sport now because it's not as rich as the other sports. But I think I'm doing it for the next generation, and I'm doing it for the respect that I think we girls deserve. And it's not about the money, it's not about how much ever comes in the bank today. It's about equality, it's about respect, and I think we deserve it fully.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the Olympics, and it's pretty exciting that squash has been shortlisted as one of the 8 sports that could potentially be inducted into the Olympics for 2020. So do you think that we're going to see squash?
We've all had sleepless nights over the last 4 years. There was a 2020 bid 2 years back and we lost out on it. But things have been working in our thing, and we're back into the short thing, which never happened before. They've never had 2 bids for the same Olympics. From where I see in squash and where it's grown, how it's become, we've only done it for the Olympics, to get into the Olympics. So I really hope that the people really recognize our efforts and recognize how squash is, what squash is, and what a beautiful game it is. And hopefully, I think we really deserve to be in the Olympics.
One last question. I know you have to head over to do your fitness routine next, but I was wondering, would you consider any particular athlete or sports person your role model, or do you draw inspiration from anybody currently playing or a former player?
My role model will always actually be my coach, Sarah Fitzgerald. She's obviously retired right now, but she was 5 times world champion. She was double medalist at the Commonwealth Games, and she was world number 1, I think, for 5-6 years in a row. So I think, and I've always heard of her. I've always seen her in magazines and stuff. And I got an opportunity to train with her 3 years back, and I just grabbed it. And from 3 years to now, we've become a team. She's my personal coach, and she travels the world with me, and she's one of my best friends. For me, to be what I am right now is only because of her.
There was a particular time where we particularly worked on our conditioning, because the matches were going to be longer, the opponents were tougher, and we focused on the strength, conditioning, and flexibility.
I got to witness Dipika's grueling workout, and now we're going to head over to her house to see what her life is like with her family. That was quite a workout, Dipika.
Yes, it's a usual routine, so I'm actually quite used to it.
You're so strong.
Yeah, you got to deal with that when you're an athlete.
So we head over to your house?
Yes, sure. We're going to get a bit stuck in traffic, that's how Chennai is, but it'll be fine.
So it was great watching you train, Dipika. Tell us a little bit about what your everyday workout looks like.
So I spend a lot of time in the gym. Less time actually in the sports court, because when I travel I do a lot of sports. So when I come home, it's mainly a lot of fitness, it's mainly a lot of sprinting on the field, and a lot of strength and conditioning work in the gym.
So Dipika, since we're driving around, I can't help but appreciate the beauty of what I see of Chennai. Tell me a little bit about what your favorite things about the city are and what you like to do here.
I think Chennai is home for me. So living away so long, it just feels really nice to come back to Chennai. And I think Chennai is changing every time I come back. Every time I come back, there is something new. I think there are a lot of actually trees being grown in the city, and it just makes the city look really, really beautiful. And everyone else knows it's very, very hot in Chennai. But I think I've lived in Egypt, and it's been hotter there. And it's nice to come back to Chennai, The first thing when you get on a flight, you tell yourself, I can't already wait to be back home. So Chennai is home for me.
I've just arrived in Dipika's family home, and I was lucky to catch Sanjeev Pallikal, Dipika's dad, right as he was on his way out. I've convinced him to share a little bit about what it's like to be the dad of a sports superstar. I'd love to hear from you a little bit about how you and Mrs. Pallikal supported Dipika through her journey, particularly in the early stages when she was training in Egypt.
The decision to move her to Egypt was probably providential because there were issues here that forced us to look for an opportunity to ensure that she gets high quality training. Being what she was as a player, the Egyptians came forward to train her. And so we decided, and Susan took Dipika, and she was there in Egypt for quite some time. We set up a home for Dipika. And then there were occasions when, Susan would be there for 10, 12 days and then give me a call, I need to come back and do my work. And then I'd give up my work and go there and spend time because somebody had to be with the other two girls also here.
It was heartwarming to hear from Mr. Pallikal about what it was like bringing up Dipika. And now we're going to hear from Dipika herself about what it was like growing up in this home. We saw Dipika in action on the court, and we got a sense of her fitness regime. But now it's time to get a sense of what she's like when she's not playing squash. Dipika, so nice to be with you in your home, and I see all the trophies here as well, though. So I guess at some level, the game doesn't really leave you, right? Even when you're not playing, it's a huge part of your world.
Yeah, I think my sisters always joke saying that my parents only have one daughter because there's only pictures of me in the drawing room and all my trophies.
And what do you like doing though when you're at home, when you're not playing? How do you like to unwind?
See, I think I get very less time to spend with my family because I'm actually always traveling. And I've actually always lived away from my family. Since I was 14, I shifted base to Egypt, and I've been outside the country ever since. So whenever I come back home, most of the time I'm just lazing around at my house with my PJs on with my parents.
You've just gotten married, and of course the wedding was a private affair. But seeing as you're both big sports stars, can you tell us a little bit about how you support each other in your respective careers? I see these lovely pictures. I was admiring them earlier of you and Dinesh Karthik.
I think because we travel so much, we spend very little time with each other. But at the end of the day, we know that these are our goals and these are what we want to achieve. So it's really nice to come back home to someone who knows how training is, what it takes to become, a professional player. And Dinesh has always been there for me, and he's always given me advice when I need it. And I think we stay out of each other's business until we actually need each other, which is actually really healthy. And I think we actually share the really happy moments, like the Commonwealth Games when he was there when I won the medal, and it was one of the most important parts of my career. And I'm very glad that he was there.
It's amazing that you so gracefully manage a work-life balance and prioritize both, your game, but also your family. It's really wonderful to hear you just sort of share how you do that. Thank you. Thanks so much. I've had such an exhilarating day with Dipika Pallikal. It's been wonderful to see what her life is like, both as a squash player and off the court. But that's all we have today on Mahindra Scorpio presents TOISA, Drive to the Top with me, Lisa Mangaldas. Thanks for joining us, and see you again next week.